I know you see me looking hard through binoculars. Young money, fat knots, African rocks for you. KC, battle axe, cha-ching, we mop it up. Vanity dot, nobody stopping us. Rappers talk tough, end up calling the cops on us. You'd rather shoot it out, you don't want to box with us. Pocket full of high notes, so I call it the opera. Mobster, used to eating steaks and lobster.
Hello, my name is John North. Welcome to Weightlifting Talk. Grab a coffee. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the dark, where the skeletons play their violins. We bleed chalk. We slam bars and we kill PRs. We're live in Weightlifting Talk Studio. Thanks for tuning in. That was my dark orchestra voice. When you go into training, the lights get turned on. We can see just fine in the dark. We can see just fine. Nobody else can see but us. Because that's where we do the best, is in the dark. We train the best when we're tired. We train the best when we're sore. We train the best when people doubt us. We train the best when the journey is long and the hill is high and steep. We put our fucking hiking boots on and we go. You know, and that's when we train the best. We train the best when people doubt. People told me my whole life I wouldn't be shit. From a very young age. From Ritalin to Room 2 to drug use to a confused and lost child growing up, running away from home, staying at other people's houses. Lost, but now we're found, right? Lost, but now we're found, and now we're training. The barbell has made us such better people in and out of the gym, such strong people. And that's what we strive to do every day, is to become stronger. And that's why we're doing this. Thanks for tuning in to Weightlifting Talk. I'm actually filming my very first podcast ever, which will be on YouTube tonight, which is a little nerve-wracking that this son of a gun over here is staring at me, and I'm not used to having the machine, the iRobot, that's really probably alive. Technology is alive, and it's going to take over the world someday. So this little thing is over here staring at me. So I'm going to upload this podcast on YouTube tonight on my channel, The Attitude Nation. So thanks for tuning in live on the podcast. You can listen later on iTunes, and then obviously now tune in to the YouTube channel, which, you know, I kind of pimped out my little desk here. Okay, I got my coffee, World's Greatest Dad, from my son. We got the Attitude Nation straps here on display. Greatest straps ever made. You can buy those right now at theattitudination.com. We have my book, The Dark Orchestra, C&K, Caffeine Kilos mug. We got 6 for 6 mug, Milwaukee weightlifting mug, more Caffeine Kilos. I don't know, decided to bring my pistol out here on the desk. You know, because why? America. That's why. And Slam Bar shirt, Attitude Nation. You can get all this at theattitudination.com. Before we get started, go to virusintl.com. Get 10% off all virus. Discount code skeleton, all caps. Go to positionusa.com and get 10% off position. Discount code ANSLAM, all caps. For the weightlifting shoes and, of course, for the virus tights. If you want to have me for a seminar, go to theattitudination.com and I'll come out, fly to your gym, slam some bars, have some fun. We'll do a weightlifting seminar, lunch, dinner, stay the whole night. Absolutely fire flames. Hit me up there. We do have some seminars coming up, so check the schedule as well on the website. Life retreat. Come on out. 4 days, 4 nights, 4 days. Let's see the date here. Friday, June 23rd to Tuesday, June 27th. So come camping with us. Watch the video. Read all the details on the website. Whitewater rafting, horseback riding, rock climbing, bonfires at night. We're lifting on Sunday morning at the main cabin there, having a little max out session there. And so it's just going to be absolutely great. Once you pay, everything's taken care of as far as the counselors, as far as the food, as far as the events, etc. So go ahead and check that out. And the last but not least, before we get started, go to thedarkorchestra.com. Join the online team. A gym in the computer is how I like to view it, right? Me and Jared Enderton said, how could we make an online team that was like a gym? like a local gym. And that's kind of how we approach the online team. That's why we have the private Facebook page. We have the Train Heroic app. It's really a community over program, as we like to say. Interacting with our athletes is very important, especially for feedback on how to program in the upcoming weeks and months, of course. The strength cycle just got over, a full month of strength cycle. And starting tomorrow, we have a new cycle, which everyone's very excited for. And we're going to talk a little bit about that on the podcast today. Not a Team Do plug, but just talking about some of the workouts we're going to be doing this week on Team Do and the benefits of those workouts. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let's get right into it. Okay, and cheers for everybody drinking coffee at home, listening. Hope everyone's having a beautiful Sunday and having just a great time. I don't know, maybe you're lifting. Maybe you got in today and had a little lifting session. I always encourage people to lift 7 days a week. But John, my program only is 5 days a week. Well, you know what? Screw your program. Okay, but John, I'm on the Dark Orchestra program. What do you mean screw your program? Yeah, screw your program. You better be doing your program, but to get in extra sessions, to get in Sunday to do some active recovery or some bar work or even work up in a heavy squat, whatever that may be, that's always a good thing. We've talked about this before, right? The more you train, the better you're going to get, period. If you're on a program that's restricting you from doing anything else besides your program, well, you're letting the program run your life rather than your life running the program. You understand what I'm saying? You are living on this planet to do what you love. And if weightlifting is doing what you love, then do it all the time, 7 days a week. I don't got time for this shit. I don't have time for other coaches to tell you it's not PR cycle, it's not PR month, it's not PR week. Stick to the percentages. I'm not a believer in that. I look at it as a program as a guideline into success. Right? A compass to success, a tool that you can use to succeed in the sport of weightlifting, or as we offer CrossFit, nutrition, powerlifting, bodybuilding, etc. Check out all the programs we offer, but really not even talking about Team Do, just talking in general about how a program is a tool. And I think sometimes we lose track of that. And we look at a program as if I do the program, I'm going to succeed. If I do the program, I'm going to become a champion like Jared Enderton, or a world champion powerlifter like Travis Mash, or a national champion like John North, or who knows, an Olympic champion or silver medalist like Klokov. And the social media has turned reality into a false reality of gumdrops and lollipops, right? Everyone's showing off their ass on Instagram and looking jacked and hitting big weights, and it's all gumdrops and lollipops, which is fine. And that does happen through hard work, but what it's not showing is the hard work. It's not showing the hard days. It's not showing the missed lift. It's not showing the bar winning and you losing, right? It's not showing you going home and crying out of sadness because you're not reaching your goals or someone that you loved passed away. Now, how do you deal with that the next day in training? It's not showing just how much pain you're in during hard training. And so that's a little bit of a you have to be careful with that Phantom of the Opera of people on social media just kicking ass and taking names. I mean, there's a lot behind that, and you got to realize that. And that's why competing locally is one of the most important things that you can do as a weightlifter, right? Or as an athlete, period. But I'll stick to weightlifting here for the topic at hand. Looking back, I mean, here, my book, I have it bookmarked. Wrote a blog, right? Some of you own this book called Local Meets and More Excuses. And so I wrote this back in the day because I realized as I was continuing on in the sport, how many local meets that we do compared to other people. And I thought about this. And I said, this is really interesting. Because back in the Cal Strength days, if you talk to, myself, I'm telling you now, but Glenn or Dave or Donnie Schenkel or Kevin Cornell and Jared Enderton and Caleb Ward and Spencer Mormon and Rob Blackwell and Scott Asaka came in toward the end, and just the whole crew. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody on the crew there. Tom Sorka toward the end there as well. I could probably go on. But I realized as we all were training, I'm like, wow, we are doing so many local meets. I mean, we were doing about 3 local meets a month. So almost once a week, for 3 years straight. You know, as we got to Muscle Driver, it was a little bit less. But really in that boom period from 2009 to 2012, I mean, there was literally probably 3 local meets a month. Maybe even sometimes more. There was times where we did a weightlifting meet every single weekend for months straight. And was that a competition? Yes. But was that more training? Absolutely. All right. And that's what competition does, is it just, first of all, it keeps you bit by the bug. We can't lose track of that. Weightlifting is a very tiresome sport. Why? Well, because you're dealing with 2 lifts, okay? And you should be on a program that's sticking pretty close to the lifts, in my opinion. And if that is the case, then a lot of people get a little burnt out. So you have to do things like fun competitions, put money on the line, you know, turn up the music, chug some coffee, you know, and whoever loses has to only use a knife in Call of Duty tonight. You know, you have to find ways to, which Donnie Schenkel would be totally okay with that, because he always just knifed people out of nowhere, which I found awesome. That son of a gun. So you have to find ways to keep yourself not only addicted to weightlifting, right, but to continue pushing weightlifting, right, with your max effort in progress. Right? You have to continually to push every single training session for max effort to lead to max progress. And one of the great ways to do that is just to compete as much as possible. Okay, now some local meets are going to be more important than others, right? You could look at one local meet as great atmosphere, great training day, so I'm going to go lift. Great. But you could look at one local meet and say, I have to do very good for this local meet. Maybe I won't do one before this week, do a little bit of a taper because I got to qualify for nationals or et cetera, right? Or I got to break these PWA records. Right? Or I got a competitor there that I'm competitive with, so I got to show up and put him in his place. Leading to what? A great training session. So training session, local meets are very important. And I personally don't think enough athletes do local meets. Right? I think too many people get caught up in this, this want to be in perfect shape for meets. And I just don't believe that. It takes time. It's a rodeo. Yeah, you might get bucked off the first few meets, but it always just takes that one to stick, where you get a PR total, right? And then all of a sudden, bam, you're qualified for nationals. Maybe not even that. Now you're in the A session at nationals. You know, I look at weightlifting as like dating. Okay, you ask 100 girls out for their number, a few are going to say yes. Hopefully. They should. Okay, that's weightlifting. Do 100 local meets, and 2 out of those local meets, you're going to qualify, right? You're going to get a PR total. You're going to make huge progress. You're going to become more experienced in weightlifting. And it's always the bomb outs. It's always the 2 for 6s. It's always the bad meets that make you a better champion, where you learn the most from weightlifting, where you walk out of that meet thinking to yourself, I have this to work on, I have that to work on, and all of a sudden now your training has escalated to new heights, because now you're hungry not only to continue being a good weightlifter, but now you're hungry to what? Work on those weaknesses to be a good weightlifter. That's why I always say there's no bad days in weightlifting. There's no such thing, right? Because any day when you're weightlifting, you're getting better. Period. You're always getting better. Look, we're doing what we love. You walk in the gym to be a weightlifter and you're training, you're getting better. You're getting better. You're becoming a stronger and better person. You're following your dream. You're loving your life. Midnight Train. Out of this book right here, out of my diaries and blogs I wrote in this book. I mean, it's Midnight Train is my favorite blog of all time, right? It's the simplest blog, but it's the most complex, because the simplest things in life are the hardest to do. It's like the Bulgarian training program. Snatch, clean, jerk, front squat every day. That's easy. Well, it's the hardest thing to do. That's why you're not doing it. That's why you're probably on a program that works at 70% doing drop snatches, and you're training 4 to 5 days a week. That's not going to cut it. I don't care, even if you're on Team Do and you're on let's say you're on the Black Sheep program, you're training 4 days a week. I'm sorry, 5. Well, guess what? I want you training 7. Let's say you're on a master's program and you're doing 4 days a week, which is reasonable. Well, guess what? I want you training 6. Shit, I want you training 7. A training session could be anything as far as getting better in weightlifting. I don't care if that's a cup of coffee and watching hook grip videos for 3 hours. That's a training session. Last night, I went to 24 Hour Fitness. I did a 4-pack combo move. Hot tub, sauna, steam room, pool, hot tub, and I kept rotating back and forth for 1 hour straight. Because I'm pretty beat up right now. My first week back this week of full-time training. I shouldn't say full-time training, but training more consistently. I'll put it that way. So I'm really beat up. So I'm taking my recovery and treating it like a training session. And that's how you have to go about it. But getting back to my main point is the fact that people are not training enough. And the reason why is because people are scared of overtraining. Now, I've overtrained once in my life at California Strength when I was trying to make the team. Dave Spitz will tell you about this. When I was driving back and forth up to 3 to 4 months, close to 4 months back and forth from Sacramento to San Ramon. And I was trying my best to make the team. I was broke. I was skinny. I had skeletons in my closet. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was known as a bad boy at the time. And Dave was a little weary because of my past, because of my attitude towards, my bar slams. And I was painting my face, and I wore bandanas back in the day on my head. And I would throw chairs, and I even got into a few scruffles with people in the weightlifting community, which are, by the way, completely justified. Actually, there was only one of them, and the guy highly disrespected my wife on her platform, and I had to do something. If you don't do anything in that situation, well, you have no testicles. Okay? But he was a little wary. Who's this crazy guy? And people think I'm crazy now. I was way crazier back then. Because when I found weightlifting and I fell in love with weightlifting, I just became obsessed. And it was my way out to finally express myself. Because before I expressed myself with drugs, right, with meth, right, I would just smoke meth. I'd drink alcohol. And, I got in a lot of street fights, So I guess I expressed myself with that as well. I expressed myself in bad ways, is what I'm trying to say. And then I found weightlifting through Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Through pumping iron. And that's when I was introduced to weightlifting, and I became obsessed. And that's the thing when people watch a YouTube video, or they might watch your video and be like, man, that guy is just overly excited, or why is he excited snatching 80% of his 1 rep max? And the reason why is because it's not about the weight, right? The weight's just a metaphor. It's about the fact that I love what I'm doing. And that's what I'm excited about. See, these haters, they watch the actual weight. Well, I don't care about the weight. And because I don't care about the weight, I've won. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like not caring about the money. I don't care about the money, right? Because I'm just doing what I love right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? And because I'm doing what I love and I'm passionate in doing what I love, well, then I make money. Like right now, I'm making money. Am I seeing the money? Am I thinking about the money? Like, no, I'm not thinking about shit besides this podcast and how I love it. Same thing that goes with weightlifting. I love weightlifting. I was passionate about it because it made me feel a certain way. I was able to express myself. I was able to become somebody that was not me. Therefore, in return, over time, I found me through my blog of writing when I got fired from Muscle Dog, which everybody knows that story. It's almost kind of crazy how not only do you have to break yourself down in weightlifting to build yourself up in weightlifting, right? Like a Marine, like a military man or woman. The same thing goes with weightlifting, and the same thing goes with yourself as a person. You have to literally completely get lost to find yourself. And that's what I did. I was bottom of the barrel. And weightlifting led me to me. And that's why I get so crazy, is because I just love what I'm doing. They're looking at the weight. Well, he slammed bars and he's yelling with 140 kilos. That's stupid. Well, that's stupid to you. But I love doing what I'm doing, so screw you. Like, don't worry about me. See, judgment is the root of all evil, right? Judging somebody, right, means you're probably not judging yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror. And that's the number one problem. That's why if you get anybody that's critiquing too many people in a negative way, they're never going to critique themselves because they're insecure about themselves, so they're critiquing other people. And this used to be me. This used to be me all the time. I was a critiquer. I always talk about the middle of the road weightlifter, right? The middle of the road lifter that's seen a little bit of success, that's moving up the ladder, now knows everything. That's why they don't take seminars. They don't do podcasts. They don't, it's their way or the highway. Their shit don't stink. Which, whatever, I guess it's a process. But don't fall victim to that. Because the problem is, if you fall victim to that, you're never going to grow. And in order to grow, we must continually be exploring ourselves in this very complicated but simple world of weightlifting. And so train 7 days a week, to go all the way back to the beginning of the podcast. Train 7 days a week and get fucking better. And stop basically handcuffing to yourself to the program that you're on. And I'm even talking about my own athletes. I want you to go above and beyond. I want you to do extra active recovery. I want you to do extra bar work. I want you to watch extra YouTube videos. When I say YouTube videos, studying the sport, the history of the sport, different techniques, different philosophies, etc. And also, you're never going to overtrain nor get sore doing 60% EMOMs in the snatch and clean and jerk. You're never going to get sore maxing out in the front squat on a Sunday before Monday. You're just not. Okay? And those things will all make you better. I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of these programs out there. I travel the world in weightlifting. I've been to more CrossFit gyms than anybody on planet Earth. You're right now as I speak to you. There's nobody that's been to more CrossFit gyms than me. And I see it all the time where these athletes tell me they can't PR or they can't max out because it's not max out time. And I think that is just horse shit. A program is a tool to use to get better, to be the best you can be. Just like technique. Just like technique. You have to find what works best for you, the athlete. When I go to a seminar, I'm not telling you how to lift weights. I want to help you lift bigger weights. And by telling you how I lift weights and my philosophy towards lifting weights, that just might help you become a better weightlifter. See, the point is when I do a seminar, I do this podcast, or if you read my book or whatever, right? The point of what I'm trying to do is help you become you. That's it. Because there's only one of you listening. There's only one of you watching. Period. Your technique, your philosophy, you move a certain way, you approach the bar a certain way, you let the bar down a certain way. You're an individual. You're an artist. You're beautiful. You're fantastic. And you need to accept that and run with that. This group thinking of everyone just doing the same thing is how you get stuck in a rut. The one way to lift weights. The one acceptable program. Right? The one philosophy towards celebrating or approaching a bar, what's right or wrong. Okay? This is what's going to get you stuck in a rut, because if you just flock with the sheep and you lay your sword down and you do a group tank thinking philosophy, then you're never going to find yourself in the sport. I mean, look at my technique. My technique is very unorthodox. It's very unique. It's very different. It's controversial. But when I walk into a seminar, I only know how one way to teach, as you know, and I teach just how I lift. I'm not going to walk into a seminar and teach you a different way than how I lift, no matter how controversial it may be. But how did my technique come about? Well, my technique came about the melting pot of weightlifting. And that's why local meets, right, and training sessions, right, and you diving all into weightlifting will help grow your melting pot to create your own technique. And everyone has an individual technique. They really do. And the way mine started was through experiences and influences. Throughout all the teams I've been on, through all the coaches I've had, through all the athletes I've competed against and trained with, over time, from enough tools I've learned from all of these different people, I won't even say created. I just kind of fell into the technique that I use to lift big weight and to win. And it just so happened. And so, when I podcast right now and I do this thing on YouTube, which I'm kind of scared to see the video on how I look while I talk on the, I'm probably looking like a crackhead as I talk here, is, this is what worked for me, and look, there's many things that didn't work for me. Some caviar. And I've talked about that just as much. Right? I don't want to be one of these gumdrops and rainbow guys that I talked about earlier on the podcast. I've talked a lot about my failures and what I did wrong, and but that's not really what this show is about. Okay, this show is just what's worked for me. And so, if I had to reach out to anybody today, I'd just tell you to continue growing your melting pot, continue building experiences and influences. And influences experiences is key. Influences we've talked a lot about. Okay, that's coaches, that's athletes, that's seminars, that's articles, that's keeping your ears and eyes open. But let's talk about our hands. Let's talk about our soul. Let's talk about how we feel. Let's talk about our dreams at night. Those are experiences of, what you're going through in life and weightlifting. Those are going to make you become the best weightlifter possible, because it's going to really separate you from the sheep, right? You're going to become an individual. You know, like Kendrick, look at all the great weightlifters. Kendrick Ferris, Donnie Schenkel, Sarah Robles, Chad Vaughn, Ilya. I mean, you know, I can name so many fantastic weightlifters. CJ Cummings. They're all extremely individual on how they lift, their programming, the way they approach the bar, their philosophy. I mean, all their interviews are extremely different. And I think that if you see a pattern in weightlifting, you're going to see that the champions are built from individuality through the influences and experience of others. So when I walk into a seminar, I say, look, I'm a junkyard car. I want you to just like pick me apart. Just take me. Just pick me apart, man. You know, this philosophy of this is how to lift weights, and if you do this, and if you don't do this, you're wrong. And that type of, that's the old guard way of thinking. And this weightlifting sport, I hate to say it, I'm going to get haters for saying this, is an old guard sport, right? I mean, it's one way or the fucking highway for many coaches. You probably know a few. I mean, everyone listening right now has at least 2 John North haters. But if you ask them why they hate me, they'll just give you just the generic talking points of, I don't like how he slams the bars, and he yells Schenkel, and his technique sucks. Okay. Those are your like 3 talking points, okay, which are all pretty ridiculous, because I wouldn't be sitting here if all those things were not true. Or I'm sorry, true. So, yeah. Let's check the chat board and continue on. Again, if you're just tuning in, make sure you go to virusintl.com, get 10% off virus. Discount code skeleton, all caps. Check out positionusa.com. 10% off. Discount code AN SLAM, all caps. And check out those shoes. We got the Redfords, we got the Clint Eastwoods, we got the Elvis Blue Suede shoes. They're absolutely fire flames. Yes. Checking in. What's going on, guys? Shelby, Jake, a few Team Do athletes. And go ahead and make sure to join that Team Do, thedarkorchestra.com. And get on there and just choose what weightlifting program you want and jump right on there. Check out our coaches and everything we offer. We'd love to have you. But Shelby, you're right. Boy, were they wrong. And that's what that's what really pushes Jared Enderton to succeed. Jared Enderton was on the podcast a few days ago, and he didn't do well in the second open because of traveling through the Arnold. And I said, Jared, actually, that's perfect for you, because that's where you succeed. It's when people say, when you're behind, when you're pushed in the corner. And I think anybody listening right now, I mean, weightlifting is one of these sports where it's not accepted, right, in the normal society. Of course, right, if you want to spend $100,000 and 6 years of life going to school to be what you want, that's accepted. If you go to the gym 2 hours a day and do cardio and bodybuilding type workouts, well, that's accepted, because that's what everybody does. But if you want to be a champion weightlifting and go for your dreams and become a champion weightlifter, well, that's highly not accepted and not even, understood. And so that's my big problem with weightlifting. And, there's a lot, sure, has the sport grown? Has it boomed for many different reasons? Of course, CrossFit being the number one reason. Absolutely. But at the same time, there could be more great weightlifters. And I'm talking to you that's listening right now. You that's listening right now or watching on YouTube, which I don't even know if I'll post it. I'm going to be too insecure. But you listening and watching right now, you have to understand something. You can be a national champion. You can be. It's really up to you. It's really how hard do you want to train, how much dedication you're going to put into the sport, and how much are you really going to go all in. Now, let's say you just one of your big goals is just qualify for nationals. Well, then you don't have to necessarily go all in. You can only go all in with what you want to take out of it. So if you want to qualify for nationals, well, train 5 days a week, and in a few years you'll qualify for nationals, right? Just ballpark. Okay, 2-3 years you can qualify for nationals. If you're a freak, let's not lie. Genetics do play a part. Maybe in a year or 2 you can qualify for nationals. Shit, there's probably some people listening right now that just got in the sport of weightlifting 6-7 months in. They've already qualified for nationals. Okay, those are just freaks. Okay, but you got to be careful with the freaks, because a lot of times it's the tortoise and the hare story. Watch out for the freaks. All right, because a lot of them burn quick. And it's those silent but deadly Travis Coopers. Not saying he's not a freak genetically, but it's the silent but deadly guy that's been in the sport for 15 years. And, You know, you don't even realize, because he's kind of a calm, quiet guy, that his whole entire trophy room is 5 times bigger than anybody else's, and you're sitting here thinking, where the fuck did this guy come from? As I'm, you know, kind of the other guy that likes to just, if I win, I'm going to let you know about it. I'm going to let you know about it. I'm going to put up my middle finger to society, tell my room 2 teachers and the doctors that gave me Ritalin down my throat, hey, look what I did. Look what I've succeeded. Or look how I succeeded. You said I wouldn't be shit. You said I wouldn't do shit. So I kind of have that attitude. And there's pros and cons to that attitude, right? Hence a lot of haters. Hence a lot of, if I do fail or don't do as good as I should have, it's just like the world's over. F John, he sucks. You know, you're really vulnerable. You put yourself out there. But watch out for the Travis Cooper type guys. Now, let's say you want to win nationals. Well, I always tell people you can win nationals in 5 years. Right? I feel like a politician, like 5-year plan. And it's the truth, though. You can win nationals in 5 years. If you go all in 100% for 5 years, you can win nationals. Anybody, no matter genetics, anybody. But you have to go all in. And why do I say that? Because that's what I did. Anything that I say on this podcast, anything that I coach, is 100% my life. I don't make shit up. I don't read anything out of a book. The only thing I read out of a book is my book. Okay? Now, I've read articles and I've been coached by other people, and I take to create me. Right? And me is you're getting me. Right? That's why I always believe you should first have the medals and the teams before you coach. Right? Before you go out there and really start chatting it up, right? Y'all know what I mean, okay? I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of people in this industry that talk and that charge people money and do things around the world, and you're sitting there scratching your head. People into weightlifting that are just going, right? Me and Max Ada have talked about this a few times. Just what? Where's that coming from? Where's this coming from? And you have to ask yourself that. Now, I don't think you don't have to be an athlete to do that. If you've coached people to success, let's say like a Glenn Penley. Glenn Penley did a little weightlifting back then, but that wasn't his thing, right? He was a powerlifting champion, but his credibility is what? Coaching. His credibility is me and many, many, many other athletes. And so as a coach, like let's say a Kyle Pierce, Kendrick's coach, that's all the credibility you need, of course. But as far as being an athlete, you have to have something to talk about. And that's your own experiences in life through the melting pot of experience and influences. And so nothing's been made up here. That's why I say 5 years. Because it took me 5 years from the day I walked into a gym, right, to the day I won nationals. Okay? In 5 years was pretty much full-time weightlifting. The first few was full time, but really when I went to Cal Strength, it was game over. Okay, and you can, but you really have to decide to yourself what's important in life. You really do. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to do this. Let's say you want to, man, I really want to get B session in nationals, or I really want to maybe A session in nationals, or I really just want to qualify for the main AO series and do really well in the AO series and be at the final main American Open. That would be just be at a national competition. Like, that'd be great. You know, because I have a family and I have a business and I'm busy. So that would be great. Well, then good. Then put the work in that needs to, to get you there. Period. It's that simple. Okay? And just like I started this program out, this podcast out, if you're on a program and you're relying on that program to get you there, then, I don't think you're going to get there. And I know it's so absurd for me to say that as a program coach, right? People are probably like, I'm not going to join John's fucking program. I'm not going to join John's team. Why would I join John's team if he's saying that if I follow the program, I'm not going to succeed? Well, you're not going to succeed. That's actually a fact. Because it's not just following the program that's going to make you succeed. You have to follow the program with your heart invested in the program. You have to follow the program, giving the program 100% of you. Your mind, your body, your soul, and your effort in the program. You have to believe in the program. You have to go above and beyond the program with recovery, with food, with nutrition, with with even getting more training in, with stretching, with massages, with mindset, with anything in life. It's more than the program. I personally believe that me and Jared Enderton write the best program in weightlifting. Now, but Kyle Pierce, 3-time Olympian for Kendrick Ferris, how could you say that, John? Well, first of all, I'm not saying anything about Kyle Pierce. Kyle Pierce is a god. He's a legend in this sport. I mean, he's the greatest weightlifting coach ever in the sport of weightlifting for America. You have to say that. There's no possible way on planet Earth you could disagree with that. There's none. Kendrick Ferris is the greatest weightlifter to ever live in America. That's a fact. So that means his coaches as well. Them together are a powerhouse that can never be touched, and who knows, may never be beaten. I don't know. I mean, we'll see, right? That's just my opinion, I guess. Okay, that's my opinion. I know there's the debate of Tommy Kono, but I still think Ferris is a better lifter with a full resume, the time period, etc. I can go on. That's a whole different podcast. I lost my track of thought. But, I guess, with Kyle Pierce and then me saying I'd write the best program, you can get on the chat board and you can get on the YouTube comments now and just be like, John's an arrogant, cocky bitch. He's going to compare himself or think he has a better program than Kyle Pierce. Well, yeah, I do. And I should. I should think that. I have athletes. I'm passionate. I love what I do. And I love the team I've created with Jared Enderton. I believe that I write the best program in the world with Jared Enderton. That's why I'm telling you to come to thedarkorchestra.com. If I did not believe that, then you should just not join my team and go somewhere else. That's like me walking into a seminar and saying, hey guys, I'm gonna coach you up. Thanks for having me. But boy, there's a lot of other people that are better than me that you could have had. And, I'm not going to be that confident about this seminar because, I really don't know what I'm talking about like other people do. It's just ludicrous. So the point I'm trying to make is no matter what level you're at in the sport of weightlifting, you need to be 100% confident in the sport of weightlifting. If you're a CrossFit coach and you have your level 1 CrossFit and your level 1 USAW and that's it, and you're only 1 year in the sport of weightlifting, you walk into that CrossFit or weightlifting class like your shit doesn't stink, confidently, aggressively, violently, passionately, and you coach those athletes with everything that you have. That's a good coach, right? I'm going to be a better coach next year than I am this year. So does that mean that I should coach unconfidently right now, knowing I'm going to be a better coach next year? No, I'm going to give everything I have. That's what coaching is giving everything that you have to your athletes, right? So you listening right now that just got their USAW 1 and you're pumped and you're really new to the sport of coaching, okay? Then you coach with everything you have, my friend. You be passionate with it. You be confident with it, but you have to realize that you have a lot to learn, okay? There's a lot of growing pain. There is the melting pot will never end. Right? And I think the same way. I'm always learning. That's why my book was 9 months late on pre-order back in 2013. Was because I kept pulling it out of printing over and over and over and over and over, right? Why? Because I kept adding things to it, taking things out, changing things, adding things. Because the book never ends. If my publishers out in New York never said enough is enough, let's publish it, well then guess what? The book would still never be out. That's the whole point. That's why coaches that say weightlifting technique, I just disagree with. It hurts my heart when I hear that. Like it's already made up. It's done. Weightlifting technique. That's just silly, John. What you coach is silly. It's just weightlifting technique. It's just silly. It hurts my heart because we've just given up. We've just laid the sword down. There's no more art. There's no more independence. There's no more originality. There's no more thought-provoking conversations or training sessions in how to basically take a barbell and get it above our head in one motion. Because that's the snatch. That's it. I could do it any way I want. In the clean and jerk too. Within the rule book, I could do it any way I want. But for some reason, the old guard of weightlifting has made it where there's already been a way. It's like the Truman Show. That's why I love the movie so much. Not for this exact point, but it's a great point to make, is the fact that when he wants to be a world traveler, the teacher says, why would you want to do that? Everything's already been traveled. It's already been discovered, Truman. That's like weightlifting. That's been done. That's why the best thing that's ever happened to weightlifting is the hook grip videos. Because now finally people get to watch the hook grip videos and say to themselves, what the fuck is that? Over and over and over and over and over again. To the point where someone might go to bed at night thinking to themselves, what is weightlifting technique? And when you ask yourself that question, that's the moment you're going to be the most successful coach and weightlifter on planet Earth, because the journey has now begun. What is weightlifting technique? And what is weightlifting technique as far as an athlete goes? It's the best that you can do. It's the best way possible that you're going to lift the most amount of weight. That's what the technique is. It's an individual pursuit of happiness and doing what you love. That's what weightlifting technique is. It's not out of a book. It's not an old guard coach telling you that it's already been done and traveled upon, Truman. It's you, the individual. It's you, the coach. You have to go out there and get it. You have to create it. You have to give birth to it. You have to find yourself and become yourself to influence and inspire many. That's the sport of weightlifting. It's not a technique. It's not a federation. It's not a program. It's you, the individual. We, the people, own weightlifting. Just because USAW is a federation does not mean that's weightlifting. Weightlifting is a sport. You can do it anywhere on planet Earth. You could do it at a park. You could do it in your garage. You could compete anywhere in weightlifting. Don't let them get in your head. Be you. Be independent. Compete locally as much as possible to continue to build your melting pot through your experiences, and throughout talking to people and coaches and athletes, you will gain influences. It's not all about just the total. It's about the total 5 years from now when you win nationals, if you're on the 5-year plan of winning nationals, if you're on the 3-year plan of qualifying for nationals. It's a journey. It's not a race. That's what you have to keep in mind with the local competitions. They add so much more to your training than just the total of that day. And that's what you got to keep in mind. Okay. I'm going to leave it there. We are at 40 minutes or so of the podcast, and I just wanted to get that off my chest and say hi to you guys. And I'm going to put this YouTube video up on the YouTube channel there at the Attitude Nation. And I hope you guys are enjoying, by the way, my training videos. I'm actually training tomorrow at I don't know exactly what time, but I'll hit it up on social media on what time I'm going live on Instagram, and hit up a YouTube video there as well. And so I'm actually going to be doing the Dark Orchestra program this week, because I feel like this week was my first week back. Just kind of had to, have some fun, find myself, get in that rhythm, break the body down. And now I'm going to jump on this program here for the I Am a Weightlifting Robots program on Team Dark Orchestra, which we never got to it. Maybe we'll get Jared Enderton on the podcast tomorrow talking about the program with the pauses in the bottom. And if you're thinking pauses in the bottom, we've done that before. No, we haven't, because these are long pauses. We're maxing out the pauses. We're doing pauses and everything. It's basically just one of the greatest weightlifting programs I personally think I've ever written with Jared. I think it's going to benefit so many athletes. And even if you're not on Team Do, I guess this is a whole different podcast, but sit down there, get comfortable in the catch. I just can't stress that enough. Check out the Life Retreat, guys, on our website. Please come out, Northern California. Get your ass out. Let's go camping. Weightlifting seminars are on the site as well if you want to have me out. Let's see here. This weekend, I'll be in Florida, March 18th, the CrossFit Way of Life. Next weekend, or April 1st, I'm in Alabama with Jared Enderton. The list goes on. If you want to have me out, just email us. Make sure you check out our brand new store that's up and live right now. I have some of the products. Actually, they're in the boxes over there. Check them out. And we have a clearance rack going on right now for all of our old swagger. $15, everything. So check that as well. Straps, the weightlifting book, the Dark Orchestra here. and all that kind of good stuff. Follow me on Instagram at Attitude Nation. Thank you guys for so much for tuning in. YouTube, shout out to you guys. If that thing is still even recording, I don't know if it's shut off. Podcast listeners, I love you guys. Thank you so much. And Attitude Nation salute. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.